നമസ്കാരം. ഏവർക്കും ലേൺ സൈക്കോളജിയുടെ മറ്റൊരു ക്ലാസ്സിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം. ഇന്നത്തെ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ സൈക്കോപാത്തോളജിയുടെ പ്രീവിയസ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണ് നാം ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. നമുക്ക് ക്ലാസ്സിലേക്ക് പോകാം. ഡിഫറൻഷിയേറ്റ് ബിറ്റ്വീൻ ഡിലൂഷൻ ആൻഡ് ഹാലുസിനേഷൻ. ഡിസ്ക്രൈബ് ദ വേരിയസ് ടൈപ്പ് ഓഫ് ഡിലൂഷൻ. A delusion is a fixed belief that is either false, fanciful, or derived from deception. As a pathology, it is distinct from the belief based on false or incomplete information, dogma, stupidity, poor memory, illusion, or other effects of perception. Delusion typically occur in the context of neurological or mental illness, although they are not tied to any particular disease and have been found to occur in the context of many pathological states. They are of particular diagnostic importance in psychotic disorder. Hallucination can occur in any sensory modality, but certain etiological factors are likely to evoke specific hallucinatory phenomena. Hallucination may vary from simple and unformed to highly complex and organized, depending on etiological factors, environmental surroundings, nature and focus of the insult related to central nervous system, and do not reactive response to impairment. Hallucination also differs from delusional perception, in which correctly sensed and interrupted genuine perception is given some additional significance. Hallucination can occur in any sensory modality: visual, auditory, olfactory, gustatory, tactile, proprioceptive, equilibrioceptive, nociceptive, thermoceptive, and chronoceptive. Types of delusion. Delusion are categorized into different groups. Bizarre delusion, a delusion that is very strange and completely impossible. Non-bizarre delusion, a delusion that thought false is at least possible. Mood concurrent delusion, any delusion with the content constant with either depressive or manic state. Mood natural delusion, a delusion that does not relate to suffer emotional state. Delusion of control. This is false belief that another person, group of people, or external force control one's thoughts, feelings, impulse, or behavior. Nihilistic delusion. A person with this type of delusion may have the false belief that the world is ending. Delusional jealousy. A person with this delusion falsely believes a spouse or lover is having an affair. Delusion of self-accusation. This is false feeling of remorse or guilt of delusion intensity. Delusion of mind being read. The false belief that other people can know one's thoughts. Delusion of reference. The person falsely believes that significant remarks, events, or objects in one's environment have personal meaning or significance. Erotomania. A delusion where someone believes other person is in love with them. A grandiose delusion. An individual is convinced that he has special power, talent, or abilities. Persecutory delusion. These are the most common type of delusion and involve the theme of being followed, harassed, cheated, poisoned, or drugged, conspired against, part of attack, or obstructed in the pursuit of goals. Religious delusion. Any delusion with a religious or spiritual content. Somatic delusion. A delusion host concern pertains to bodily functioning, bodily sensation, or physical appearance. Delusion of parasistosis. A delusion is which one of feels interest and insect, bacteria, spiders, worms of other organisms. Delusion of poverty. The person strongly believed that he is financially incapacitated. Discuss the etiology, prevention, and treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder. Biological factors. The biological factors include the temporal factors that may be contributing to development of vulnerable personality. Teen studies have shown that vulnerable personalities may run in families. Besides, exposure to trauma may activate a neurogenic system. As a result, the norepinephrine level is elevated. This in turn may result in accelerated startle response to heightened emotional arousal. Psychological factor. A vulnerable personality and life events. A number of risk factors in PTSD. Some of these are being female, early separation from parents, family history of psychotic disorders, and pre-existing anxiety or mood disorders. Sometimes people are exposed to multiple traumas. Psychoanalytical approach. This approach proposes that people either consciously suppress or unconsciously repress the painful memories of traumatic event. The PTSD is a resultant of the ego's struggle to assimilate the experience into the pre-existing structure of personality. Often PTSD symptoms represent a maladaptive compromise of the ego. Learning theory approach. This approach assumes that PTSD results from the classical conditioning. This is sort of avoidance response. A person who has suffered a terrible railroad accident would be afraid to board a train ever again, as the association with the sense is terrifying. Cognitive approach. The cognitive approach assumes that the person exposed to trauma adopts a faulty coping mechanism. The coping style of the person with PTSD is often emotion focused rather than problem focused. Existential approach. The existential model suggests that exposure to trauma disturbs the meaning of life. Each of us develop through our experience a number of expectations about life and relationship. Socio-cultural factors. It has been observed that it combats related stress when the group of morale is strong and competent and committed to the job. The PTSD symptoms are less common and less severe. Also, if a traumatic event only is placed in a supportive environment, the severe symptoms can be avoided. Prevention and the treatment of PTSD. Prevention of PTSD. A person is going to exposed to extreme condition and probable traumatic experience. Training up as and preventive measures. Stress inoculation training, which usually include 3 stages. The first phase, information about the kind of situation the person is going to face is stress that can occur with how people made with them. In the second phase, you can ask them to make self-statements like this pain is not going to last forever, don't panic. The third stage consists of actually exposing the person of threatening situation created for the purpose and have the persons practice it. Treatment of PTSD. Antidepressant and tranquilizing medicines have found to have some effect. Short-term crisis therapy may also be needed at these difficult times. Here, you have to be proactive, engaged with the person, giving information, supporting and clarifying things as far as possible. We must provide ways for integrating the experience into the daily life of the people. For all approaches, the key is to gradually expose the person to the memories of the trauma and teach her the coping skill. Usually, after the event of series of events, the person loses trust and a sense of security in the world. As a therapist, first task would be to educate the person about the nature and expected symptoms of PTSD and emphasize that these can be handled. Psychoanalytical oriented approach. This also requires the person to expose themselves to relieving of trauma. However, the emphasis here is on interaction between pre-trauma personality disposition and the nature of the event. Following the usual technique of psychoanalytically oriented therapy, the emphasis is on analyzing defense and transference. However, controlled studies examining its efficiency is not available. The trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy. This is one of the most widely used techniques to encourage the victim to gradually expose herself to those thoughts, feelings and situations that are associated with the trauma and those that she has carefully tried to avoid so long. The principles of cognitive behavior therapy. These techniques also utilize exploration of core beliefs and automatic thoughts. The irrational thoughts about the traumatic event need to be analyzed and understood by the person. EMDR. This is technique that has been used for disaster victims. It may be conceptualized as an offshoot of cognitive behavior therapy. Here utilize the eye movements, eye right stimulation. It is believed that a bilateral stimulation may be unfreeze the brain's information processing system, and the unpleasant memories can integrate it to cohesive memory and processed. Existential approach. It includes a conversation between therapist and client to raise into consciousness the possibility of looking for meaning in one's life. Family therapy. This is often essential for the dealing with PTSD, as you must have imagined trauma disrupt the entire system of relationship, bring in a new dimension never thought about before. It is not only the individual victim, but also the family that need to integrate the aftermath of trauma. PTSD of the victim is well controlled if put within the supportive environment. If you work with the entire family, you may be able to help each member and also help each to help the other.